Hi guys in life, how you guys doing? Um, I would like to do some bed rant, so if you guys want to join me, that's cool. Thank you. I'm gonna talk about an interesting topic. I haven't mentioned this before, but then again, I haven't really had this thought before. Um, I'm eh, I'm becoming intrigued with the number two, TWO. I'll explain what I mean by this. Um, Two is like the hardest number to deal with. If it weren't for two, there would be no three, but two isn't one. I think if I were in the Olympics, I would almost want to win a silver medal because the silver medal is the hardest medal to win. Gold is easy; you're on top of the world. Bronze is easy because at least you made it. Silver is hard because you missed both ends. You didn't just make it, but you really making it, and that's the most challenging vibration of the whole lot. And I want to explain how that affects me in my musical taste, maybe coming up, and a couple other things. There are two guitarists. I don't know if there's two number twos that were kind of number two in history. First, Eric Clapton, because he was kind of the second best to Jimi Hendrix. He was like, he was God. He was the greatest, except Hendrix. What are you gonna do? He was better than all the others. He was better than. He was the best guitarist in the world, except Jimi Hendrix. So I'm fascinated by that. I may get more into Eric Clapton than I have been before. I really like Cream anyway. Why not? I tend to avoid it because Hendrix is better, but that's stupid because it's still great. And it's like shooting myself in the foot because I'm missing number two because all I care about is number one, and I see the fallacy of that now. And I might be getting more into Eric Clapton and stuff. Not that I'm not getting it. Not that I'm gonna not not that I'm not going to be into Jimi Hendrix, but I'm going to not exclude Clapton simply because Hendrix was better. I just now realized that this morning when I woke up. And another person that was number two, also is in history, is Jimmy Page, that in the band Led Zeppelin was number two to the Jimi Hendrix Experience, the band. Now, I'm not saying that Led Zeppelin wasn't the greatest band in history, but they were the silver age of rock and roll. The golden age was the Jimi Hendrix Experience and the Cream and the Who and all the '60s bands. That was the golden age of rock. The Bronze Age was maybe the '80s, with Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads, and Van Halen and the Scorpions and all the great bands of the '80s were like the Bronze Age. But in the middle were the '70s, and most exemplified by Led Zeppelin, and they were the silver age of rock and roll. And that, again, like I said about number two being, like I said about the silver medal, that's important. I might be getting more into Led Zeppelin than I have been as well. I already am starting to, but maybe more so. Because it's easy to look at Jimi Hendrix Experience and the Cream and all that, and just glorify the '60s, glorify the '80s, and all the '70s. What was that again? But no, the '70s were great. Led Zeppelin were one of the greatest bands in history. I don't know how you break it down. I don't know what the numbering is and the orders, and it depends on your opinion, and it depends on the day, and it depends on your mood. But Led Zeppelin were great, and I love Jimmy Page in that band, and Robert Plant in that band. I even though I'm a guitar player, I relate more as personage on stage to Robert Plant, but yet as a guitar player, I venerate Jimmy Page as a guitar player. So I getting more into Led Zeppelin than I've been in my life as well. But I kind of grew up I kind of missed Led Zeppelin growing up, even, really. I mean, I didn't really miss them because I knew who they were, but I just kind of skipped past them or skipped before them or whatever, And I think I'm going to reverse some of that, And the other way I like to is a couple other ways too. And the peace sign is V for victory. That's where it really came from. But there's also mysticism, and then also the horn sign, which I take as love. It's heavy metal, rock and roll, peace, love, and rock and roll to me. That's how I see the sign, but it has a few other precursor or background to it that may not be as innocent, but some people say it's the horns of the devil, but it could be the horns of anything. It could be horns of a goat. It could be the horns of who knows? It could be 2 legs, 2 feet, but it's more the fact that it's 2 itself. It's 2 fingers, like the peace sign is, and the 2-ness of it. I know that the actual sign came from, I forget the name of it. I should have probably Googled it before this video, but I didn't. Ronnie James's deal with grandma was an American Indian, or had American Indian in her, and this was a symbol she used to ward off evil spirits or to bring good luck. And I forget the name of it. It starts with M, maybe. Marosh. I forget. I forget right now. But the thing that's fascinating about it to me, though, right now, is that it is 2 fingers. It could be this. It could be this. And two is a very passionate, loving number to me. Now the dark side of that could mean number 2, meaning the second God, which is Satan. I mean, God's number 1, right? God is the number 1 God. Satan is the number 2 God. So I'm glorifying Satan. There's some of that energy in it, but not Satan in a dark, sinister way. Satan in just more of a liberating way. Like, I don't have to do what God says. I can be the devil tonight. And that goes along with peace, love, and rock and roll. When you go to a rock concert, you're not there to venerate God. You're there to kind of feel good like Satan would. That's a rhyme. And I like number 2. It's one of my favorite numbers. I really like number 2. I'm tired of 1 and 3 sometimes. I'm tired of number 1 getting all the credit and number 3 being called the perfect number, and 2 is right in the middle getting ignored. And I like the 2-ness of the symbol of the peace and love, rock and roll, or the peace sign. That's literally called the peace sign, isn't it? And not only that, 2 is the number of femininity. Study your numerology, you'll see this. See, 2 is the number of femininity. 1 and 3 are masculine numbers, and 2 is a feminine number. Which do you prefer? I prefer 2. 1 is very masculine, 3 is very masculine, and 2 is very feminine. And I like that about it. I like the feminineness of the number 2. And there's a reason I hold that up for that reason a lot of the time. It's a feminine. It's sometimes it's a devilish. Let's have fun. It's also rock and roll, peace, love, and it came from a symbol that warded off evil spirits. Sounds good to me. Doesn't bother me. And I like it. I don't want to hold 3 fingers up, and I don't want to hold up 1 finger for some reason. I don't know. I just don't. I like 2. It's more peaceful. It's more come and join us. It's more compassionate, like as feminineness is, and all that. And really, what's wrong with the little devil play here and there? The devil is a very forgiving deity. He doesn't expect perfect obedience, for one thing, and he's very freeing. He lets you do your thing. He lets you have fun. He lets you stretch out and be free and be yourself and explore. He doesn't tell you exactly what to do or else, like God does. So what's wrong with the little devil here and there? That's loving itself in a different way. Just a different way than God's love. God's love, yeah, he sent his son, watched him die for us. That's loving in its own way. But so is Satan to say, come on, just do your thing. Be you. That's a lovingness God can't show, because God has to have exact obedience. And Satan doesn't need that. Nor does he demand that. And nor does he expect that. And I think that's a freeing energy. It's energy I'm never going to totally give up, if at all. Part of the Mormonism is the reason why I love them is because they are forgiving, they are loving, yes, they serve Jesus Christ, but they're much looser and freer with love and less judgmental than the regular Christians. Or I wouldn't care who they serve. I just head for the door and not come back. But they have a little bit of that too, that little looseness. They just love you. It's not all just I serve Jesus, do you? And that's what That's the only that's really what got me in the church in the first place. And I'm staying to study the doctrine. But I'm not changing my stripes, and I still like number 2 in all the ways I've mentioned it in this video. In fact, like I said, if I were an Olympian, I would want to win the silver medal. I don't want the pressure of gold, and I don't want to be third rate. I want number 2. I would want to get a silver medal. I like silver better than gold anyway. As a color, I like the color silver better than the color gold, and I like the color silver better than the color bronze or brass or whatever color that is. I wear silver necklaces. I don't wear gold. Gold looks way too gaudy. I don't know of another metal that I don't wear brass. It looks kind of cheap. And I wear silver because it's classy and looks good. And I like the color. And I like number 2. I love you guys. Peace, love, and rock and roll.